First of all, we've responded to Femi Anikayade's gangster-like outbursts, against one of our colleagues in Cross River State, Eyo Charles, who works with the Daily Trust newspaper. I've taken time to listen to the young man because I called him and he explained what actually happened. It's really unfortunate that somebody in the status of Kayode could degenerate to such an intolerable level, discussing a journalist in such lines. It's really, really unfortunate. We've already asked him to withdraw such remarks and tender unreserved apology to not just the journalist, but the media family in general, because we didn't expect such from him. Having decided to embark on tour of states, moving from one project to the other, even though he's here to tell us under what platform he's doing that, he should also expect that people must ask questions about what he's doing. And there was nothing wrong with a journalist asking him who is bankrolling your tour. And that's just the problem. So perhaps he was not with his right frame of mind at that particular point in time. But now I believe he must have gone through that video over and over again. And I know that in his private moment, he would not like such a thing to have come out from him. So we expect him to do the needful as quickly as possible by apologizing to that journalist and, of course, journalists in the country in general.
All right, let's look at the NUJ. Quite a number of persons. I'm sure you've read some of the reactions from people and the kind of light in which they see the NUJ. What do you make of that impression, and how is the NUJ working towards redeeming itself from all of this?
The thing is, I've always told people that the way you dress is the way you'll be addressed. You are not going to conduct yourself in a very horrible manner and you expect the society to defer to you. That's the truth. Like what happened in Cross River on Thursday last week, the Femi Anikayade's issue with your Charles. While he was pugning all those gibberish, journalists were all seated there and they were looking at him. At the point, they were even apologizing to him. That was terrible, So our colleagues must come to terms with their calling. You have chosen this profession, and you must effectively stand out and not to become a problem to the entire system. So as a union, we'll continue to reach out to expose our colleagues to constant training and retraining programs so that they actually come to terms with the reality. Because by the time you interface with some of our colleagues out there, you'll be so disappointed with the kind of things they do. But it's something that will continue to be talking to them, not just peculiar to journalism. If you look at other professions, you still see such characters. But we'll continue to do our job.
Now, in continuing to do your job, I want to bring on the issue of brown envelope. People talk about it. They talk about brown envelopes, and some will say to you, when organizations don't pay salaries, that's some of the things that push journalists to start taking or collecting brown envelopes. What is the NUJ doing to arrest this situation? And also, what roles are they playing in getting organizations to pay whatever it is that they agree with journalists?
Well, I've also been addressing this particular issue. In the past, the union used to engage in ticketing of organizations, that default in payment of salaries and what have you. But we also discovered that this has not really yielded any results. That's the truth. It has not. So when we came on board, we decided to come up with a different approach, because you cannot continue to do something with one strategy over and over again and you expect a different result. So we came up with the strategy that lawyers also have adopted, the alternative dispute resolution mechanism, engaging these media owners, discussing with them what are your challenges, what are really the problems, why can't you really properly remunerate these people who work with you. So I think 1, 2, 3, 4 organizations are agreeing with us. It's something is work in progress. We'll continue to talk about it. But the issue of brown envelope, I have also tried to clear the air on this. You know, publicity is expensive. We must come to terms with that.
Yes.
If you look at the electronic media, radio, television, there is an event, you would always hear such term as LTP, and that is let them pay, right? It happens with the electronic media. When you want to get publicity in what you're doing and what have you. That's the truth. If you come to the print, we also have adverts, and you need to pay where necessary, you know. But the issue of brown envelope, I have always not encouraged that. I tell my colleagues that if you continue to reduce yourself to Naira and cover journalists, of course you are done with. That's the truth, you know. Let us try to conduct ourselves better, much better than what presently obtains, because it won't help us. Look at what Kayode said there. Some people, maybe they've given you brown envelope, even though I'm very sure he was almost going to still give them the same envelope there, you know. So it's really unfortunate. Our colleagues, no matter how bad the situation is, let us not continue to reduce ourselves, you know, to that level. We must have to present ourselves better, much better than what we presently see. If somebody is doing something and there is need for that person to pay for it, of course the advert rates are there. Give the person. The person is not paying, and it's something that you cannot do except such person pays. Leave it out. It's something that will be beneficial to the society. You don't need to go looking for the person to give you money. You know, even though I must tell you, other groups, professional colleagues, they also have their own way of collecting brown envelopes. If you go to the doctor, they will tell you to buy your card. At the point of buying card, nobody is attending to you. Whatever they are going to do to you, you are going to pay. The card is a brown envelope. If you go to the lawyer, before you meet the lead counsel, they tell you to pay whatever fee.
But you agree that some journalists won't write a story unless there is brown envelope.
Well, I haven't really come across such a set of journalists yet.
There are so many of them who wouldn't write a story just because there's no envelope attached to it, but that's by the wayside. Before I let you go, Mr. Isiguzo, what's your impression of the over-dependence on press releases from organizations and from government officials and politicians, as it were? There's so much dependence on press releases that we don't have the probing nature that journalists are supposed to have. There's no longer nose for news. You going to seek out the news. You sit and wait for press releases to come, then you just write it out just the way it's been sent to you. What do you make of that?
Well, first of all, I must look at it from the perspective of peculiar environmental challenge. You know, it is actually peculiar to the environment where we are actually operating. Before this question, we talked about the issue of poor remuneration. We talked about the issue of epileptic remuneration. As we talk now, most organizations have shipped out their workers.
Because they can't pay.
Some of them because they cannot pay. It becomes a challenge. And for the time they were actually paying, look at what they are paying. It is nothing to write home about. That becomes a major problem. It now makes a lot of journalists to be so dull. They are there waiting for government to churn out releases. Just take time to look at the media platforms that we have now. 99% of them rely on press releases. You know, that's the challenge that we have. Talk about investigative journalism is almost taking flight. It's a problem. The journalists must have to be properly remunerated. That's the truth. If you don't want to expose him to all these peculiar issues about brown envelope, about clearly violating the code of ethics and what have you. So that is the thing. If you address the foundational challenge that we have in the industry, that's the problem. If you address them, you would have substantially, addressed some of these issues they are talking about. Journalists You want him to investigate a story. You haven't empowered him with the work tools. You've not empowered him with allowance for transport. You've not given him all the necessary wherewithal to do the job. And you are expecting him to make water from the stone, white stone for that matter. It becomes very, very Herculean. So that is the challenge we have. We will continue to preach this because it's important. The laborer is worthy of his wages. And not just wages, you have to properly remunerate the journalist if you are going to get the best from him. That's the truth, you know?
That's right. All right, then, thank you so much for your time.